Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out AmItheA whole. Story 1. AITA. When all I did was go to work. So I, M32, am a school bus driver and I just started a month or so ago. I have 4 children of my own and I am married, my wife, F35, and most of my children were sick. I got a text from my wife while taking the kids on the bus to school saying, "It's really bad today, I'm gonna need help, can you stay home this afternoon?" I didn't reply well because I was working. I come home at around 8:15 am and told to call doctor and see if I can take out third child to the doctor to see if he is sick. I make him an appointment for 10:15. I then proceed to make the rest of the children breakfast since they had not been fed. I call work and ask if I can have the afternoon off because my children are sick. I am told sorry, we don't have anyone to cover. I then tell my wife I can't stay home but we have her mother here as well as 3 able-bodied and healthy teenagers. Our niece's nephew were over because it is winter break for them. To help while I am gone for about 3 hours to take the kids home from school on the bus. Since then my wife is calling me Benedict and Benedict Arnold because I'm a traitor for going into work. So I ask you the people, am I the asshole? Story 2. AITA. For yelling at my husband for eating the cookies I baked for others. I, 38F, always bake Christmas cookies for friends. This year, my husband, 37M, and I moved, so I baked cookies for everyone on the block, as a neighborly gesture, and as a small thank you for all the friends that helped us move. The chocolate chip cookie recipe I use takes about 2 hours to make, double batch, 2 days to sit in the fridge, and then several hours to actually bake, including cooling and packaging up. Yesterday when I was baking, I told my husband that we didn't have any extras for him, but I did bake my fam 6 sugar cookies, from the extra dough that didn't have any chocolate chips, and told him I'd bake him his favorite shortbread cookies next week. Yesterday, I dropped off cookies at all but 2 neighbors. I also work full-time, and my company's fiscal year end is 12/31, so I've been very busy all week. We also have an 18-month-old whose daycare is closed this week, so my husband and I have been splitting time watching her. I should have done this cookie project last week, but here we are. I mention all this because I had a book club meeting last night that included a gift exchange, and I didn't have time yesterday to run out to grab something. I had a bottle of nice wine at home that I decided to gift, and I thought I'd add to that by adding some of my homemade cookies, 2 of the 6 sugar cookies I made for our fam, plus 1 cookie each from the 2 neighbors I hadn't delivered to yet. Each neighbor was left with 5 cookies each, instead of the standard 6. I told my husband repeatedly not to eat the neighbor's cookies, but this afternoon, he did eat 2 of them, so each house only gets 4, and he laughed when I confronted him. I yelled at him and told him he was disrespecting all my hard work and being greedy, since I told him I'd make him his favorite cookies next week. He said I shouldn't have left the cookies in the house for so long and should have known that he'd eat some. Am I the cookie monster here? Story 3. AITA. If I asked my mill to stop comparing kids and told husband. I have 2 children, aged 11 and 9. The oldest one has been actively drawing, both on paper and digitally, for the past few years and has been very successful at it, to the point an artist working for a major company doing just that suggested she has talent. My youngest is just picking it up and mostly out of desire to be like the big sis. This past weekend was my youngest's birthday and she got lots of drawing supplies. My mill was in town for the occasion and, after she left, my oldest confided her disdain that the mill praised the youngster's art skills and how she's using some computer app for it. She's not, and she'll likely get a scholarship with that. While the oldest, she said, is terrible and won't get that far, let alone get a scholarship. That got me fuming and I wanted to either tell Mill myself to stop comparing and saying such things or have my husband relay it. But my child requested that I don't mention it to either one of them, even her own father. It pains me to watch her just sweep it under the rug and eat it, painfully. My Mill is the kind of a person that won't spare a mean word and will not think twice, but will get offended at anything remotely close in her direction, so animosity would be inevitable, and my child could get more flack for it, which is what she's concerned about. I must add, this isn't the first time someone has done my kid wrong where adult intervention was more than necessary and she insisted on handling it herself. I did let her but also got on the same page with the offending party's parent who reached out to me first. Should I respect my child's request to not rock the boat and let her suffer, or should I go full parent bear and possibly lose her trust for further confiding in me? Story 4. AITA for throwing a breastfeeding party and not excluding formula feeding. Hi all, I'm not sure if the title makes sense. Basically, 6 months ago, 9 of us had babies in the same week. It's insane. We were all pretty close through our pregnancies and all 9 babies are buddies. My daughter literally shares a birthday with 2 cousins. 7 of the 9 of us decided to try breastfeeding. Some found it easier than others, and I was pretty lucky. 4 of us EBF and 3 combo feed. As the babies turned 6 months I joked about celebrating, because it's been hard as hell. My sister was really into the idea. I planned it, as the designated planner, and also the one with the most free time, and so it was set. My sister made a few. Story 5. AITA for not engaging with my friends and family. So, I'm only 2 years away from having a bachelor's in my hands. The problem is I have absolutely no time for anyone in my social life. Right now, I'm taking 3 classes, working 30 hours a week, playing in a band I joined this semester, working on solo material, trying to maintain a decent workout routine and trying to fit in downtime so that I don't go completely insane from overstimulation. Even then, people like my mom and brother, and even some of my friends, will hit me up to hang out on a whim or last minute and not be really considerate to busy schedule. It's not that they're rude, but I can tell they are disappointed. It just brings me back to when I was with my ex and she called me a selfish person for only being able to hang once or twice a week during my busy school time, when she wanted to hang out 4 to 5 times a week. I feel like I'm doing what's best for me right now to secure my future, but I also don't want to never see support system that got me this far. I've also essentially given up on dating as it seems I have zero time for it, and most people I talk to either like to play hard to get or are incredibly flaky, and I simply don't have time for it. Thoughts? Story 6. AITA for telling my sister that having another baby would be a dumb idea. Sister and BIL, both 28, have been married 2 years and have a 4yo child. Recently their marriage has been on the rocks because of some issues that I will not disclose in detail, but they have to do with BIL not being sure of his feelings for my sister, and my sister wants to try and save it, by having another child with my BIL. When she confessed this to me, I was pretty much horrified and I think she could tell what I thought, but just to be sure I told her that her idea was pretty dumb, because if it didn't work she would have to raise 2 children alone on her small monthly salary instead of just the one that she has right now. And even if he did decide to stay their issues would still be unresolved and would eventually come up again. I suggested discussing things with him and eventually trying marriage counseling if he does decide to stay, but I could tell that she was hurt and not convinced. Was I too harsh? Story 7. AITA for making my sister pay me for a mirror her child broke. Had a big birthday party at my house and my 1.5-year-old niece broke a brand new mirror in our bedroom upstairs. My sister left her child unsupervised upstairs in our house and let her wander in our bedroom. This was an area which was not being used for the party, merely accessible so that guests could use the bathroom or leave their coats/bags out of the way on our bed. I asked my sister to replace the mirror, which was not massively expensive at $60, which she did so begrudgingly. But now she has a massive problem with me/won't talk to me as she thinks I'm unreasonable for asking this. The mirror was leaning against a wall and she therefore thinks it is our fault. However, her toddler should not have been left alone. Am I the arsehole? Story 8. AITA for telling my kids I don't give a shit if their mom dies and I don't love them. I, 56M, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer back when I was 37. They caught it relatively early but I was not expected to survive. About a month after my diagnosis, my ex-wife, Sarah, 55F, divorced me, took the kids, house, and most of our savings. She even turned the kids, at the time 14M, 12F, 11F, against me, and I was alone, only child, and my parents died in my 20s, so no other family, to deal with my seemingly inevitable death. Well, except one person, my co-worker, Jane. She was the only person in the world who seemed to care about me. Before you ask, there was no infidelity. Sarah divorced me because she couldn't be my nurse as she watched me die. Anyways, the doctors wanted to try to remove the tumor after a few courses of chemo, and I went into remission after the surgery and some more chemo. I tried to be there for my kids, but Sarah remarried and my spot was taken by her new husband. After a while I stopped calling on B-days and holidays, stopped giving gifts, stopped trying to be involved in their lives. It hurt almost as much as the cancer when I realized I didn't mean anything to them. I ended up marrying Jane and we have 2 kids. It still hurts, but I love my new family and they actually give a shit about me. Anyways, Sarah recently got diagnosed with terminal heart disease and they are struggling financially. My kids called me for the first time in over a decade to ask me out for lunch. I didn't want to go, but Jane said they're extending an olive branch and to at least hear what they want to say. At lunch they didn't even bother with pleasantries, they immediately jumped into asking me to help out their mom with medical bills. I said no and got up to leave, but my son said that even if I didn't love their mom, they did, and if I loved them I needed to help. I asked them what their half-siblings' names were, when the last time they called, who they spent the last 2 decades worth of Father's Days with. YTF, I should give a shit about a woman who took everything and left me alone while facing my death, or about the kids who wouldn't even see me before my surgery or at any point when I was dying. They were silent. So I said, I don't care about your mom, nor do I give a single shit if she dies. And I don't care how bad her dying hurts you guys, because I care about you all as much as you care about me, not in the slightest. I won't help because I don't love her or you guys, and left. I have been getting calls from my ex's family telling me how awful I am for saying that to my own flesh and blood. I wouldn't care, but my wife told me that even though I'm right, I was too harsh on them. AITA? Edit. Posting this BC, people seem to think I gave up immediately. Sarah remarried about a year after I went into remission. I tried for 11 years, but all I'd get on the calls was a thank you and one-word answers about what's going on in their lives. As time went on, the calls got shorter and shorter, if they answered at all. I stopped calling after 11 years because not one of them answered on Christmas. I tried spending time with them in person over the years, but it was always short because the kids were busy, or at least that's what I was told. I fought for my kids until the youngest was 22. Edit 2. When I signed the divorce papers, I gave my ex full custody in exchange for her not taking everything in our accounts. After the remission, I voluntarily paid child support but didn't seek custody because all 3 of them wanted to live with their mom. At the time I thought the kids were scared of me dying and that's why they didn't want to see me. I didn't want to believe she turned them against me for a long time, and by the time I realized, it seemed to me like forcing them to live with me would just push them even further away. I think Sarah told them I was having an affair, but I don't know. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.